Half the time, people in the bottom. There's people living in the bottom. Listen to me. Welcome, folks. Welcome to the Reality Check with Charles Butler here at Red State Talk Radio. We have with us today one of my old friends, Mr. Paris Denard. You'll see him all over CNN, MSNBC, Fox, you name it. Paris is out there speaking for the RNC and the president. I remember when he was a young man, and now he's an older man and wise statesman. Mr. Paris Denard, how are you, Paris? What's going on, dude?
Stay booked. I'm just doing so much media these days, but I think it's important because we've got to get the word out. We got to get the message out, and I think there's a lot more people who are wanting to hear the Republican side of it. So I appreciate all the opportunities I get to be on these programs.
Well, I have a buddy. I have a buddy out in California, a guy named Denny Franklin. We played football together in Michigan, and Denny was the first black quarterback in Michigan. He had been wanting to do some work for Donald Trump and get out in front. But are you familiar with First AME in L.A.? First AME Church?
Of course, former Pastor Murray, Chip Murray, absolutely.
Right. So he went to Chip, and he said, "Why don't we ever have any Republican candidates here?" This was back when W was in office, and he made that happen. Those are the kind of folks that, we're putting together a new network, and I've been trying to get in touch with you about it. It's called the Black Conservative News Network, and we're pulling in folks that I can't make that announcement here, but we're pulling it out. I can certainly tell you offline, but folks that who are going to be hosts for us, and I'd certainly love to when you get off the campaign trail to be a host with us, man, because we're gonna burn it up. We're gonna be like the old Fox used to be, telling the truth, and people don't want to hear the truth. I listen to Fox today, and I tell you, I couldn't wait to turn on the TV and listen to Bill O'Reilly go off on people, but I tell you, it's another Fox. I just don't have it, man. Maybe I'm older, but they just don't do anything for me over there. Hannity's barely hanging on, but he repeats himself every night. So you get tired of that. But anyway, look, what do you think? I want to ask you specifically, what do you think about this Black Lives Matter thing? I can give you my 30-second take. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who asked them to be leaders and spokesmen for Black people. But I can tell you this. All the Black people I know are saying we need more police in the community, not defunding the police. The people who are talking about defunding the police generally are criminals or just plain out stupid and naive. The population here in Chicago, and as you well know, man, I've been doing this thing on gun violence in Chicago for years. In fact, I did it with Fox for like 4 or 5 years, and I just told the truth. The bottom line, and Justice Alito upheld me in that the mayors of Chicago refused to protect Black and brown citizens in high crime areas. It's just that simple.
Charles, I think you summed up my opinion on Black Lives Matter, and it's that nobody knows where they came from. Nobody knows what they stand for. If you look at their mission statement, it really, I think if you go to the south side of Chicago and you read somebody that mission statement and you tell them, do you think that they are the organization that's going to make your life better, make your children safer, make your schools more empowered, your small businesses create more jobs? That's not in their mission statement. I think if you look at what they are doing now with the shakedown with corporate America and all these so-called woke, people trying to get on the bandwagon so they don't seem like they're racist, if they don't support the Black Lives Matter organization, the funding all goes through Act Blue, which is a Democrat-controlled platform for Democrat progressive causes and leaders, and they use it to give money to Democrat candidates and organizations. They're about as liberal and about as political as they come. And we have corporations flooding them with millions of dollars. People, well-intentioned people, think being shamed into supporting them, and they're not. I've seen so many op-eds. From Leo Terrell, from civil rights activist lawyer, has been strong in this, saying that Black lives, even Ken, as you know, Ken Blackwell, former Secretary of State of
Sure,
Ohio, he's
sure,
a
no, Ken
longtime
Well.
friend. He even
Yeah,
said Black lives don't matter to the Black Lives Matter movement because they don't stand. The organization doesn't stand for the things that we need to happen to make Black lives matter and make Black lives better
well, let me
in America, and that's the sad thing.
let me interject here. See, my thing is, Anderson Cooper. I remember I wrote a piece for Huffington Post before they blocked me, and they quoted me as saying, "If the killing of children," this is back in 2010. Anderson Cooper quoted this, and I
It's
could play it
insane.
for you. But this is in 2010, 10 years ago, a decade ago. Anderson Cooper quoted me, and
Hmm.
he said, Charles Butler, talk show host in Chicago, wrote, if this kind of carnage was going on with our children being killed in the suburbs, we'd have the National Guard, Blackwater, or someone protecting these children, or people on the streets protecting these children. I chronicled, so that you know this. I used to chronicle every 3 or 4 months how many CPS age school children were shot in Chicago. This is nothing new, Paris. I have been doing it,
Mm-mm.
but see, they don't want to hear from me because they don't know really what I'm
They
going to
don't want
say.
to.
They don't really want to hear what
Well,
I'm going to
Charles,
say. Go ahead.
your voice doesn't matter because you're not a Black liberal. See, so really you don't matter to them, and you don't have validity because black conservatives or people that have conservative viewpoints don't have any standing with them,
But
and so that they'll discredit you and ignore you.
no, but I'm talking about people like I did this on Fox, and I did it on the Blaze. I've done it. I've done these shows about the killing of children here in Chicago. But Paris, I've been doing that since '07. And all of a sudden I'm looking at these
Yeah.
faces pop up on TV, or the other thing is, Paris, they get these blacks that have suddenly they're woke and now they're Republicans. Oh my God, I've been a Democrat all my life, but I'm a Republican, and I'm like, the Republican Party is not the panacea. I mean, we have issues and we have demands that need to be met from both sides. It's just that you've been in that camp for a long time and you've got nothing. As this election winds down, though, Paris, I see, the president. I don't know who his advisors are. I know one is Karl Rove, and I've known Karl for 30 or 40, well, almost 40 years. But I can tell you that the president on this particular issue, uh, when we talk about criminal justice reform, for instance, criminal justice reform in Kim Kardashian and Kanye West's eyes is not the kind of criminal justice reform that the people want. Yeah, there are people who have been wrongly convicted and sent to prison, but those are few. There are a lot more people. When you talk to people out here in the streets, they're like, keep those people in prison, keep them off the streets. And what we don't realize and what people refuse to acknowledge because they don't know any better, they claim they don't know any better, even though we tell them. White police and black police don't police black neighborhoods like they do white neighborhoods. You can't drive in a white neighborhood with your music blasting loud before you pulled over and told to turn that shit down. Okay. In a black neighborhood, that's just being black. That's just being who. I mean, it's just out. It's like being in Animal House, man. I try to avoid black areas like the plague. There's no rhyme, rule, or reason. And see, we're talking about low class black folks. Like black folks like me and you, we have our in Atlanta and Detroit, we have our own enclaves, and lawns are cut. People have barbecues. They listen to their own music. You listen to your own music. You're not listening to your neighbor's music. I mean, but these people, man, I listen. I look at some of these folks. They're just animals, and they think it's okay to be an animal. And you know who told them it was okay to be an animal and to act like they want to act because they can? Jesse Jackson. You are somebody. A teacher broke that down to me one day. She said he used to come to our school and get the kids all riled up about you are somebody, and we couldn't do nothing with them because they thought in their little minds, with their dumbness, that they were somebody and they knew something because Jesse told them they were. They said we couldn't do anything with them the rest of the year. So they quit having Jesse come to these schools.
Well, what we have to remember is that we need to be responsive to the community. And like you said earlier, the community does not want, or frankly doesn't need, to have less police access to make the community safer. Are there bad apples? Sure, there are bad apples. There's bad apples in everything, but the vast majority of police officers are doing the right thing, putting their lives on the line to make communities safer and to make communities better.
Right.
The communities that are going to suffer the most by this ridiculous call to defund the police
it ain't gonna happen.
and to take away resources is going to be the Black community. Because earlier you made this point, and I will make it again.
What's that?
If you're in Beverly Hills and they want to take away funding for the police, well, you know what they'll do? They'll just create their own. They'll have their own private security to patrol their communities, and they'll be fine. South Central LA, South Side Chicago, they don't have the resources to have private security to do that, to keep their community safe. So people who are going to suffer the most are the communities that need the protection the most. And you've been on the front lines, Charles, for many years, talking about what's going on in the Black community. And that's why you see people like Tyler Perry, who's taken heat because he said, he said, wrong is wrong. He was an article in People magazine. He said, wrong is wrong. He said, and so when I don't want to be paying for this, I'd rather be paying for this 8-year-old girl who was killed in Atlanta, her college education, not her funeral.
Right.
He said, when I saw a white police officer who was shot in the Black community, I helped his medical expenses because wrong is wrong. He said, I don't care what color you are.
Right.
He said, and then when we hurt our own,
right,
when we destroy, I'm outraged by that too.
Right.
Because wrong is wrong.
Wrong is
wrong.
wrong.
And he said, when are we going to stop this madness? And so I think that's where you are.
I am.
We need to understand that we have a problem on our hands. When the mainstream media barely covers, see, here's the thing, Charles. If the mainstream media was honest about communities, Black communities, and actually cared about Black lives, they would be reporting sun up to sundown the violence and the crime and the murders that you see in Chicago that you have been seeing for decades under Democrat leadership. But that doesn't fit the narrative. What they want to do now is instead only report on incidents of violent crime when it happens to be a white officer doing something to a Black citizen, and then they blow that up. And so that's what they show. So then you have people thinking that it's unsafe in any community to be Black and have white policemen. They think that it's open season for Black people dying. And that's when you look at the statistics and the facts and the people who actually live this in places like Southside Chicago that you've been talking about for years, they will tell you that that's not their concern.
Yeah, we need more police
because those 30 to 40 shot killings or shootings and those deaths, that's not by the hands of police officers.
Yeah, well,
and that's the conversation that they don't want to have.
Exactly. Now, Paris, I know you got a hard break here, so I'm gonna close this out. But I just want to remind you of this: of the 70 people that died here in the last 3 weekends, not one was shot by a cop, a white cop or a Black cop. So what does Black Lives Matter really? Why do we really need them when we have more people? Remember, Chirac was coined on my radio show on WVON, the term Chirac, because I said more people were dying here than in Iraq, and because I'm a conservative, Spike Lee would not talk to me and he went to Father Flager, who was my nemesis, and they stole that and ran away with it. And nobody went to see the damn movie because it had nothing to do with what he tried to turn it into a comedy. This ain't no damn comedy. People are dying.
Right.
Hey, look, man, I know you got a hard
break. Not a joke.
So thank you so much for spending this time with me.
Charles, absolutely. Look, we'll be on again, and look, just again to your listeners, thank you for your years of leadership and calling attention to the plight of our community and trying to find solutions. But to ultimately, we know the Black Lives Matter organization is not standing up for Black lives. It's people like you, people who are on the front lines in Chicago and other places, have been calling out this mayhem for years and are doing it today. So we have the culture. America is under assault by the radical liberal left, and we've got to do something about it.
We do.
And the ballot box is one way to do it, but there's other things that we can do too. And I appreciate that time being on your show.
Hey, man, you got to come back soon. You got to come back and spend some more time with me. Take care, Paris.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Charles.
You too. All right. Paris Denard. Look him up. Great young man. I tell you. Hey, so, man, that was good. Now, this young lady from where's she from? She's from, oh God, Philadelphia. She's doing she's from Philadelphia. She's doing what is she doing? Come on, Charles. She's doing, she's Black Lives Matter in Philly. And it is so bizarre that, I mean, she said some things that was just so out of context and so bizarre. I didn't know what to say. I listened to her. I said, either she's just stupid and she's definitely naive. Well, we'll take the money that we would use for policing, and crimes are committed by people who don't. Bullshit. The sociologists. Let's go to the facts. The facts are, the sociologists, let me turn this down a little bit. We're peeking out here. The facts are, the sociologists have said that they used to, they came up with this narrative in the 60s. Again, a narrative to fit like the poor darkies. The poor darkies, they can't make it because of poverty. Black folks have always been poor. And out of that poverty came great people. Out of that poverty came Nat King Cole. Out of that poverty came Louis Armstrong. Out of that poverty came what's his name? Adam Clayton Powell. Out of that poverty came Booker T. Washington. Out of that poverty and out of slavery came Frederick Douglass. Black folks have always overcome. Out of that poverty came great community leaders. Out of that poverty, after the Civil War, you had 8 to 9 congressmen elected to Congress, and a senator, a black U.S. senator, and they think, and see, Americans are so damn stupid, and especially, well, Americans are so damn stupid, they think that the first black U.S. Senator was Barack Obama. Wrong. He wasn't. And the gentleman who was, I think his name was Calhoun, the first black U.S. Senator. The second black U.S. Senator was Edward Brooke, my fraternity brother. Great man. Just died 3 or 4 years ago. Great man, though. Great man. Ed Brooke. The next black man or person elected to Congress, or to the Senate, I should say, was Carol Moseley Braun. Bam. Carol broke on the scene, man. She was vibrant. She was good looking, but she had a few things out there that was pulling her back. Man problems. So, you have to have a kind of stable environment when you're out there in that thing. But Carol was a hell of a woman, a hell of a senator, and I wish she had continued to be there. However, she lost. Then we got a guy named Fitzgerald who took her place, a rich dude, and he got bored after 6 years and he split. Then Barack Obama goes in, bam. And people go, oh, they don't remember Carol. They don't remember Ed Brooke. They don't remember our Reconstruction senator. They remember Barack Obama because he has a cool name, man. He's a cool dude. You know, I remember I was asking this guy who was working for the Obama team here in Chicago. Because after Barack won, um, he still had his office here. You know, he still had his office and his organization. I ran into a kid who was proudly talking about how he was working for Barack Obama. And, you know, I guess I had this look on my face like, yeah, so what? You know, I mean, really? Whoop-de-doo, you know, BFD, you know, one of those kind of looks. So, so I asked him, I said, well, why do you like Obama? He said, well, he has a cool name. That's the first thing he said. He has a cool name, man. He has a cool name. And that's what I used to hear all the time when Barack was running for president, that he had a cool name. I don't think Obama's a cool name. It's a foreign name. I don't want to. Oh, anyway. But that's the kind of mentality we have today. We have all of this stupidity running around from these young people, and they're arrogant in their stupidity. That's the problem. They are arrogant. Let me repeat. They are arrogant in their stupidity. And they think it's cool to be stupid. Or maybe they don't know they're stupid. But you know that the dizzy blonde, the dumb surfer boy, you know, that's how these people try to talk. Like when they say important. There's a woman who used to be spokesperson for the U.S. State Department. She works for Fox News now. When she comes on the television, I just turn the sound off because she talks about an important issue. She said, it's important. So you have all of these little talking heads, all of them women, and they pronounce important. Important. It's important. Like, what a... It comes from a movie. It comes from a movie. The way this young lady used to say, was saying important in a movie. It's important. Listen to for it. It just drives me up a wall. And I tune out after that. I'm done. I mean, really, I'm just done. But I was talking about the first black senator. His name was Hiram Rhodes Revels. Hiram Rhodes Revels. And Hiram was from the great state of Mississippi. Yes, black folks elected a black man from Mississippi to be the U.S. state senator. It's during Reconstruction. That shows you what happens when the law is enforced, when black folks are given equal footing. So we go from the 1870s after the 1877 Compromise, where the Southerners gave the presidency to Hayes if he agreed to pull the federal troops out of the South. And he did. And he left black folks to the horrors of white folks. I'm going to be very clear about lynching, anti-lynching, all this stuff happened. Black folks were hung from trees. Billie Holiday, don't take my word for it. Billie Holiday used to sing a song called Strange Fruit Hanging from Trees. Now, when I heard that title, now you have to understand, I'm a little boy listening to my sneaking around my dad's and his friends. And they're talking about this song, Billie Holiday and Strange Fruit Hanging from Trees. Well, it was black men hanging from trees. And Billie sung about this. It traumatized her. That's what started her taking drugs. Look it up. The lyrics go something like this. Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Blood body swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from poplar trees. So when white Americans try to poo-poo this crap, try to poo-poo their lynching, I say go look in your grandfather's chest. You may find some body parts of some black person that was lynched because they're there. The Wall Street Journal did a whole story about how these body parts are still around. Eyeballs and toes. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm sure some of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about. You can finish that sentence. So let's be clear. If Black Lives Matter, for just one iota, then we wouldn't have over 70-something people killed here in Chicago. We talk about Chicago. We talking about people who are just walking down the street. We talk about people trying to be in the park. And Michelle Obama had the nerve. And I called her out on this when she was saying this, to talk about, well, black people don't get out and exercise. They don't get out and walk. But hey, you get your behind out there and walk in a hill of bullets. I tell you, I used to live in Hyde Park and Kenwood. And this is upscale areas where the Obamas have a house, so that to kind of get the region. But there are other famous people who live in this community. But I never felt safe in that community. I always had my pistol. I used to have a little 380. And at that time, it was illegal to carry. So I used to have it in my pocket, little 380. When I'd go out walking, I come from California, so we never really, you're not really in your house. You're out walking and jogging and cycling and, just active. You live a different lifestyle. Well, I found here in Chicago that it was dangerous to go out. There was a basketball coach named Bird. I think his last name was Bird. Lived in Evanston. He was a head basketball coach at Northwestern, and I think his name was Bird, and he was killed. That's the reason I'm bringing him up. Head coach at Northwestern. He was shot in the head jogging down the street here in Chicago. Ricky Birdsong, that was his name, Ricky Birdsong. He was killed on July 2nd, 1999, by a white supremacist who shot him in the back in front of his two younger children while he was out for a jog. That's Chicago. That's how dangerous it is here. Hello, you're out for a jog, just, kicking it, but you happen to be black in Chicago, and you can't carry a gun. 1999. I always carried my gun. I still carry my guns when I go out. I hate carrying guns, but it's necessary. It's better to say, I got it and I don't need it, than I need it and I don't have it. Been there. Not going there again. I have it. I don't need it. And it's always a problem when you're carrying a gun, because when you carry a gun as a citizen, you don't get into flipping people the bird. You don't get into petty arguments. You don't get into cutting people off and responding to people cutting you off. You don't get into any confrontations. You walk away. Why? Because you have a firearm. And things go south real quick. See, I'm too old to be fighting anybody anymore. I'm not doing that. If I can't de-escalate a situation and leave, then somebody's in trouble. That's all I have to say. My approach is very simple. De-escalate and escape. De-escalate and escape. That's it. I'm not looking to do anything else. But if I have to shoot someone, I will never hesitate, because they put you in that situation. Ricky Birdsong, out for a jog with his two kids on a Sunday afternoon in Northwestern, in Evanston, on Northwestern's campus. Beautiful campus. You know Northwestern. It's a private school. Northwestern's not even a state school. It's a private school. Big, beautiful, well-maintained, lovely school. A lot of smart people go there. A lot of wealthy people go there. He's only 43. He was shot in the back. Ricky was shot in the back. Ricky would have been about 64 now. His kids are probably 28, 29, 30, getting ready to have their own children. He never saw any of that. He never saw any of that because a white supremacist took it away from him. Shot him in the back, of all things. Just shot him in the back. Boom. So, Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter to whom? If I were on the south side of Chicago, I have to be aware when I pull up to a stop sign or a stoplight. Why? Because that's where people are shot. That's where people are carjacked. And it used to be here. This is how lawless this city is. This is how corrupt Chicago is. You could carjack someone at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And 1 o'clock the next day, you're back on the street. You carjack them at gunpoint. Did you hear me? You carjack them at gunpoint, and you can bail out and be back on the street doing the same thing 24 hours later. That's how corrupt these son of a guns are here in Chicago. From the mayor's office all the way down to stealing cars. These people here used to steal cars off the street. Just arbitrarily take people's car. Drive through a neighborhood. I had a friend, she had a Jag. They saw the Jag parked out in front of the house, jacked her car up, took it down to they call it, it's not a pound. I think it is a city car pound. And within 2 weeks, they'd sold her car. 2 weeks. It was a racket. And there's nothing you can do about it because they're in it from the mayor's office all the way down. They're corrupt. Democrat cities are nothing but centers of corruption and waste. And they want to ticket the hell out of you. Oh, we need to put up photo lights at traffic intersections for safety. No, it's to get money. And then they allow the people who put up the camera to control the stoplight. So instead of having 3 seconds to get through a stoplight, they mark it down to like 1.8. So you've lost one. Think about that. 1,001. So instead of you having 3 seconds to make a decision to go through the light or hit your brakes, you have none of that. They take it all away because they want you to go through the light so that they can get what? Cha-ching. Every time. And then you go down to see the court to protest it. Well, the camera has you going through the light and the cameras don't lie and all. It's just a cookie cutter BS. And these people, I can tell you, hell is permeated by a whole lot of people from Chicago because they were corrupt a-holes. They went to hell and they're going to hell because they're blatantly corrupt. And they're proud of being corrupt. Vote early, vote often. Oh, there's no voter fraud. We wouldn't have voter fraud in Chicago. Vote early, vote often, people. Everybody knows this. You grow up learning about this in Chicago. Vote early, vote often. Even if you don't live here, I knew about it. I lived in Detroit. There is no voter fraud in Chicago. That's just the way we vote. Dead people vote here. What's wrong with that? I wish you could make this stuff up, but you can't. That's how bizarre it is. I'm looking for a little music here. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. So hang with us and we'll, be back to kick it a little bit, but we're going to fly me to the moon here. Dun, 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 dun. I love the lie and lie the love are hanging on me, push and shove. Possession is the motivation that is hanging up the goddamn nation. Looks like we always end up in a rut. Everybody now trying to make it real compared to what? Come on, baby. Slaughterhouses are killing hoes, twisted children are killing folks, poor dumb rednecks rolling low, tired old ladies kissing dogs. I hate the human love of that stinking mud. I can't use it, trying to make it real compared to what? Come on, baby. The president, he's got his war. Folks don't know just what it's for. Nobody gives us a rhyme or reason. Have one doubt, they call it treason. Oh man, those bring back memories. Called Compared to What by Eddie Harris and Eddie and I can't come up with the other guy's name right now. That's a damn shame. But hey, I'm getting older. Oh man. So that's what happens here in Chicago, and you have people. Les McCann, Eddie Harris and Les McCann is who that was. Hope you enjoyed it. So my point being, Black lives have been squandered here in Chicago for years, and no one said anything. No one's done anything. You try to talk about it, and you're the one that's wrong because these black people are committing crimes because they're in poverty. Well, black people have always been in poverty, as I said before. We didn't kill each other. We didn't cut each other. Some of us did, but those are a small minority. Most black people were church-going, law-abiding, and up until the early 60s, when you look at black and white marriage rates, roughly the same. Black and white illegitimate births, roughly the same. Black and white education, roughly the same. Then all of a sudden comes the civil rights movement. And white people are going to help black people. Trojan horse. Ever heard of Trojan horse? I look at the people around Dr. King. I look at the people in NAACP. And I can't see how or why that these people were ever interested, their policies were ever intended to help raise black people out of poverty, out of this cycle that began with the civil rights movement, the welfare mentality, because see, black folks could get welfare before Johnson decided he was going to attack black families. And he did a good job of it. And history looks the other way, just like it does with Lincoln. See, when you start looking at Abraham Lincoln for real, the great emancipator, what people don't know because they never learned this, so they couldn't forget it, or because they never knew that it existed. But Lincoln was very clear about how he felt about slavery, that blacks would never be the equals of whites. He said that numerous times, that a black man would never be my equal, even though it's rumored that he was part black. Somebody was in the wood pile. So what Lincoln did was, they talk about, it always kills me when they talk about this white man's position evolving. How, when, why? Doesn't happen. But Lincoln warned the Confederate States that if they did not rejoin the Union by July 1st, 1863, he would free their slaves. Now, how does a president free slaves in another country? Because they had seceded from the Union. He had no control of the Union. He wasn't the authority. Father Abraham and set us free. Well, they didn't just walk off the plantations. So this Juneteenth as a national holiday, it just befuddles me. They go on to say, if they had timely surrendered, he would not have issued the Emancipation Proclamation. It is as much an act of political and military strategy as an act of moral courage. Lincoln had no moral courage. And since I'm destroying illusions, I hate to tell you this, I really do, but Abraham Lincoln was, like most men of his day, a blatant racist. Now, Grant, on the other hand, I love Ulysses S. Grant. And they talk about Grant, he's a drunkard, this, that, and the other. Well, if you'd seen the stuff that he had to witness as a general, and the stuff that he sent men off to do as a general, you'd probably drink a little bit too. Because those boys in those days, whew, man, cannonball take your leg off. Cannonball take part of your body off or your head off. Oof. Lord have mercy. But he did okay. He did it okay. We talk about Black Lives Matter and defunding the cops. It always kills me that people who don't know anything about the policing, crime, how vicious these men are who they're trying to protect. It just always amazes me that they don't get it. Let me see if I can play this clip for you. And if they get it, hold on. Here we go. What I'm going to do is stop it, go back, and we'll play. Let's come up.
Place where they're having to really be pushed to make a decision about what kind of person they want to be and what side do they want to stand on in history. And it's gotten to an understanding that this is a time that you have to take a hard stance and you have to make an actual decision. And a lot of people have decided that they want to stand on the side of justice and they want to figure out how to do that.
Right. Okay, right. They want to stand on the side of justice and determine how to do that. Interesting. That's what she says. I don't know if that's true. I like to feel that was true. I like to think that was true, but I don't know if that's true. I really don't. It's amazing. I'm looking at Scott Adams and Leonora. Let me see if I'm playing out here. Let me see if this is me. I'm going to check it out today. Because Jerry always tells me that I'm not getting my airtime. Scott Adams. And yep, it's playing. So, as we kind of wind down toward the end of the show, you heard this young lady say, we want the police out of our community. This is the lady from Philadelphia. How come she's not in school? How come she doesn't have a job? How is Black Lives Matter paying her rent, I wonder? Well, you can go online and find out.
One of the things that we're demanding is the funding over 5 years to the complete abolition. So we don't want to see any police in our community over the course of those 5 years. And the 5 years gives time for the community to begin to build what is needed instead of police, so that we're not looking to leave any kind of a vacancy around the issue of safety. But we also recognize that one of the reasons that a lot of crimes are a reflection of poverty. A lot of times people commit crimes because they're hungry, because their basic needs are not able to be met. Even when it comes to drug-related crimes, a lot of the drug use is also a way that individuals are seeking to manage the trauma that comes from being significantly impoverished.
This girl is so whack. It's not even funny. Shooting a pistol and killing people has not. I mean, are you gonna eat those people? Is that why you're shooting them? Are you shooting these people to eat these people because you're hungry? Are you shooting these people because you get paid by how many people you shoot to go get a drug recharge or re-up or whatever? It doesn't make any sense. You have to ask yourself time and time again, what's the end game? Who's paying this young lady? Why does she think that she can sit here and demand that there be no police in our neighborhoods? Is she going to respond to a 911 call? I doubt it. And if she did, does she think she could talk the person who's doing the deed out of doing the deed? She might think she could, but she can't. As I said before, these parents should really be embarrassed that they've raised such stupid kids. They're just stupid. They're not even halfway bright. They're just stupid. I wish I could say something different, but I can't because they're just plain old stupid. Well, the reason they're committing these crimes is because they're hungry. So I just go out and shoot somebody and eat them because I'm hungry. That didn't work too well. Wasn't too tasty. I'm gonna, and what was the other excuse she used? But her people, Democrats, have promised to end poverty. They promise to make sure that people have a good education. It's all a campaign promise. They've been promising this junk for at least 60 years. I'm 68, and I can tell you that I used to listen to it when I was a kid. I listened to Kennedy and Nixon talk about the same things. So when we left Detroit school system and we moved to Pontiac, I was immediately immersed in a flute class. I forget what you call that little flute, but it's where you learn the notes. And I was new to the class. We got there late. We started school late, so I was behind. But the white teacher who was teaching, what was that? What was those things? These things called? They call something flute. And the teacher, white man, would not spend time to get me up to speed to play an instrument and read notes. And I hated that because I always wanted to learn how to play an instrument. What do we call those flutes? But you get them in about I'm sure they do it in earlier ages now, but I can't remember what we called them. But I remember it took my mom and dad. It took my mom so long to buy me this damn flute, and my class was just going on and on and on and on. And he would buy and he'd say, "There's one person off. There's one person." Yeah, that one person was me, because he never took the time to spend to get me up to speed. If I ever see him again, I just want you to know, if I ever see you again, and I can't even remember his name, that's how insignificant he was, I'm going to punch him right in the nose. It's not a Bonzuri flute. What is the name of that flute? But, they're black, and everybody kind of gets them. I forget what they call. But it's a little black flute, and it's made of plastic, and everybody had them. Man, they'd be playing their little instruments, and I was always behind. I hated that. But hey, you get over it. Obviously, I got over it, but I'm not really over it because I'm still angry. But yeah, I didn't learn to play that flute anyway. But I do play a couple of instruments. Hey, but look, we had Paris Denard on the day talking about Black Lives Matter. We talked about the killing here in Chicago. How do we stop it? You meet force with force. That's how you stop it. It's not rocket scientists. People need to die. That's all. It's just that simple. People who are shooting people need to be shot back at and killed on the spot. All of that shooting and random shooting goes away. Ooh, excuse me. So, look, we're going to close out the show today with one of my favorite guys, one of my favorite tunes, a little Marvin Gaye. Have a good one.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Yeah. Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, what's going on?